In the early hours of a calm, chilly morning, a private jet with the tail number N616RH awaits the arrival of its passengers ahead of a 9 a.m. departure. The destination? Toronto, Ontario, Canada, set to arrive in the late afternoon. Over these next 4 hours, with the plane's occupants unaware of the unfolding chaos, thousands of eyeballs were fixated on this flight's journey through the use of online flight trackers. An online flock of spectators desperate for the answer to one question: who was on this plane?
Very warm welcome to everybody that may or may not be on board to Toronto.
Even though they've turned a lot of double plays.
There's a try to deep left field, and the ball game is over. And throw to first. Oh, and what a play! But here comes the runner, Donaldson. He's saved. The ball game is over. The Blue Jays are moving on to the ALCS.
In 2016, for the second straight year, the Toronto Blue Jays had fallen short of the World Series by only a few wins. But this loss signified more. It marked the end of a thrilling but brief era in team history. Edwin Encarnacion, Jose Bautista, and Josh Donaldson, all gone by the end of a disappointing 2017 campaign. While not explicitly stated by the team's front office, a rebuild was set to commence. A painful, multi-year process, but with the promise of a prolonged period of postseason opportunity while recapturing the level of excitement exhibited by the 2015 and the 2016 squads. So, all these years later, what happened? Well, it's complicated.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the Blue Jays race onto the field, celebrating a game winner.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude and are en route to Toronto. In the meantime, I have a special announcement courtesy of the sponsor of today's flight, SeatGeek. With the NBA and NHL playoffs underway, baseball in full swing, and more than 70,000 events to choose from, SeatGeek is my go-to ticketing app. As someone that's attended a baseball game this year using SeatGeek, MLB's official ticket marketplace, I rest assured knowing my MLB tickets are fully guaranteed and instantly fulfilled after purchase. Also, SeatGeek makes browsing tickets super simple thanks to their rating system. A 1 to 10 scale where green means good and red means bad, so make sure to look for the green dots. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And finally, as a thank you to everyone on board, SeatGeek is offering 15% off your next set of tickets with code STORM15. That's 15% off any tickets at SeatGeek using code STORM15. So make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, and enjoy your flight.
One to Guerrero.
Swinging a drive, get out of here, Karl. This one is gonna go.
This is 20-year-old rookie Vladimir Guerrero Jr., not only the league's consensus #1 prospect in 2019, but the first player to receive the illustrious 80 grade hit tool on the 2080 rating scale by MLB Pipeline. Alongside his top 10 prospect teammate, Bo Bichette, this duo represented a perfect set of foundational pillars for this team's rebuild. But the journey towards perennial contention was only getting started. To supplement this core, team president Mark Shapiro and GM Ross Atkins chose to focus on the starting rotation ahead of 2020, signing Hyunjin Ryu following a Cy Young caliber year and mid-rotation starter Tanner Roark. With top 10 prospect pitcher Nate Pearson headlining a top 10 farm system, the Blue Jays were crafting an exciting future. A future they got a taste of in 2020. Taking advantage of the extreme volatility of the 60-game season, Hyunjin Ryu, trade deadline acquisition Taijuan Walker, and the multitude of young hitters in this lineup carried this team to an unexpected playoff berth. Ultimately, the dream ended with a 2-0 sweep in the wildcard round, but this season offered a brief glimpse into this team's potential, and the front office chose to begin capitalizing on their cost-controlled core by splurging on the free agent market. Robbie Ray and Marcus Semien both signed hefty one-year deals, while Silver Slugger and World Series champion outfielder George Springer signed the largest deal in franchise history at the time. No team committed more money to free agents in this offseason than the Toronto Blue Jays. As a result, 2021 was billed as this team's first true opportunity to fulfill their ultimate goal of perennial title contention. And they did not disappoint. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Marcus Semien becoming only the 5th duo in MLB history to each hit 45 home runs, Bo Bichette emerging as a star shortstop, and Teoscar Hernandez putting up his first 30 home run season. An all-star quartet who led an aggressively unique offense through an effective combination of high swing rates and a low whiff rate, resulting in a league-leading slugging percentage and a number of home runs while maintaining a low strikeout rate and high batting average, a level of production they maintained in the several home ballparks they played in throughout the year. Overall, this was a dangerously elite offense working in tandem with an equally elite pitching staff, headlined by American League Cy Young Robbie Ray, rookie Alek Manoah, trade deadline acquisition Jose Barrios, and elite reliever Jordan Romano, among others. The 2019 Blue Jays departed Rogers Center with a promising young core in place, returning 670 days later as the contending juggernaut fans envisioned.
Fastball hit high and deep to left field, and the Blue Jays win it!
One of the most dramatic comebacks we have ever seen here at Rogers Center.
At least they should have been contending. Take a look at this. In 2021, only 2 teams possessed an OPS+, WRC+, and ERA+ over 110, meaning these 2 teams were above league average both in terms of offense and pitching. The Houston Astros and Toronto Blue Jays. These 2 teams not only provided similar levels of production, but held similar offensive tendencies. Line drive driven, hard hitting units who rarely struck out. Only the Blue Jays exhibited more power production due to their high swing and barrel rates. However, it was the Astros who made the playoffs, while the 91-win Blue Jays didn't. But, according to expected records, these 2 teams were even closer than you think. Since 2000, 40 teams have possessed an expected record with at least 99 wins, a type of record based solely on runs scored and runs allowed. The only 2 teams who failed to qualify for the postseason were the 2002 Red Sox and 2021 Blue Jays. In cases of extreme outliers like these, it's often the marginal outcomes that make the most difference. For example, the 2002 Red Sox performed abnormally poorly in one-run games, while the 2021 Blue Jays were nearly the league's worst team in extra inning outings. Furthermore, with the context of the fierce competitiveness showcased in the AL East, the Blue Jays' season series loss versus the Red Sox was particularly frustrating. A plus 29 run differential, but a losing record against a divisional rival who finished 1 game ahead of the Blue Jays. A fact that makes revisiting losses such as their walk-off loss on June 14th notably infuriating, among some other preventable losses.
Ground ball to second. Semien takes care of it. Oh, and then Guerrero couldn't come up with it. It was in the dirt and we're tied. The Toronto defense lets them down. Froze him, and the Tigers win it in 11.
Extra inning losses aside, the 2021 Blue Jays were a shoddy defensive unit according to outs above average, which led GM Ross Atkins to prioritize run prevention from the 21 trade deadline onward, most notably trading for two-time Platinum Glove third baseman Matt Chapman ahead of the 2022 season. Between the trades for Chapman and Jose Barrios, who signed a 7-year extension, the Blue Jays entered the 2022 season with a below-average farm system. Fortunately, the front office continued to pursue upgrades through the free agent market, most notably starters Kevin Gausman and Yusei Kikuchi, along with reliever Jimmy Garcia. They also held significant interest in other marquee free agents too, but no deal was as close as the one for future 2022 American League Cy Young Justin Verlander, who alluded that the Blue Jays were his second choice before choosing to return to Houston. Nonetheless, between another active offseason and a 91-win year to build off of, optimism was as high as ever. In fact, according to The Athletic's annual Hope-O-Meter, their method of quantifying fan base optimism by asking readers whether they are optimistic of their team's chances, Blue Jays fans posted a 99.1% optimism rate, the second highest in the league. What we did last year was the trailer. Now, you guys are going to see the movie. On the surface, the 2022 regular season was an exciting one for the Blue Jays, but it was far from perfect. For one, their offense was able to preserve their elite status, as they became the first team since the 2009 Yankees with 7 players who produced a 110 OPS plus in at least 120 games played. However, there was a noticeable decline in overall slugging production due to a more pitching-friendly league environment compared to 2021, which affected the pitching staff as well, which can be seen in team-wide ERA+. Although there were some bright spots. Kevin Gausman proved to be a worthwhile addition, 2021 deadline acquisition Ross Stripling provided consistency, and Alek Manoah became only the 6th pitcher since 1915 to produce a 25-start, 170 ERA plus season by year 2 of a big league career. However, as the result of a concerning stretch of games mid-season, the decision was made to fire manager Charlie Montoyo just days before the end of the first half, with bench coach John Schneider taking over. Under his leadership, the Blue Jays steered themselves back on track in the second half thanks to improvements in the bullpen and in high-leverage batting situations. At the same time, even with Montoyo long gone, a message emphasized by the former manager not only stuck throughout 2022, but has lingered ever since. Pitching and the defense is going to win games in this league. A message acting as an extension of a clear direction the front office sought to achieve. And it was working. For the first time since 2016, the Blue Jays produced a positive team outs above average figure, ultimately the result of some peculiar yet intriguing defensive strategies that are no longer legal in MLB. Take a look at this at-bat. Kyle Tucker's at the plate, a lefty power hitter who often pulled ground balls but hit fly balls and line drives to all parts of the outfield. In the current world of the post-shift ban, the ability for Tucker to find a gap today is much easier. But pre-shift ban, anything was possible. Count the number of outfielders. 1, 2, 3, 4. A type of shift deployed against specific left-handed power hitters. The goal of this rare outfield alignment was twofold: to expand the ability to get outfield outs, as seen with this Kyle Tucker at-bat, but also to limit extra base hits, as seen with this Joey Gallo single. A reflection of an overarching ideology that boils down to this: accept singles, curtail doubles and triples, a strategy instituted by outfield coach Mark Budzinski, a longtime friend of Ross Atkins. As a result, the Blue Jays instituted this 4-man outfield more than any other team in the StatCast era, although a 4.3% rate is nothing compared to their infield shift rate, 50.9%, the 8th highest of the StatCast era. All in all, in multiple facets of the game, the 2022 Blue Jays possessed a distinct identity. An identity crafted over multiple rebuilding years. And now they finally had the opportunity to showcase themselves to a national, or in this case, international, audience.
This place is packed again. Blue Jays fans hoping to avoid their team being eliminated.
The 2-1. Swinging a high fly ball. Kelnick back at the wall. It's gone! Hot shot up the middle. Base hit left center field. Espinal's coming around third.
Drives this one deep left field. It's gone. His second home run of the game.
Inside the first base bag and up the right field line. Kirk's coming around third. 8-1. Toronto on top. And rally towels are going crazy.
In one of the most incredible, miraculous finishes, the Mariners celebrate with a 2-game sweep over the Blue Jays.
In 2022, the Blue Jays went 18-0 when scoring 9+ runs. That was until Game 2 of the 2022 American League Wildcard Series, the conclusion to a nauseating series for Blue Jays fans. From a Game 1 shutout to being on the receiving end of the largest road comeback in playoff history to the scary collision between Bo Bichette and George Springer. It seems everything that could go wrong did go wrong in a very short period of time. A brutal, heartbreaking end to a promising season. So the front office went back to work. In continuation with their growing effort to prioritize run prevention while also adhering to the upcoming shift ban and the Rogers-centered new outfield dimensions, the Blue Jays acquired 2 of baseball's best outfield defenders, Kevin Kiermaier and Dalton Varsho. A steep cost, but a uniquely talented player in return. Of course, the Blue Jays weren't done there. They also acquired mid-rotation starter Chris Bassett, reliever Chad Green, and veteran first baseman Brandon Belt, in addition to trading for reliever Eric Swanson and a pitching prospect, in exchange for 2-time Silver Slugger Teoscar Hernandez. Like the prior offseason, the Blue Jays held varying levels of interest in other free agents, such as Xander Bogaerts, Kodai Senga, and once again, Justin Verlander. Now, it's worth noting teams are often going to check in on free agents just to get a sense of the market. Although it's not too often when all signs lead to a player signing one place only to commit elsewhere. This was the case for outfielder Masataka Yoshida, who at one point believed he was destined to don a blue uniform as opposed to the red one he currently wears. Nonetheless, while not depicted as the juggernauts Fangraphs projected them to be the year prior, the Blue Jays were still a playoff caliber team, and according to the Athletics Hope-O-Meter, fan optimism remained at a near unanimous consensus. It's going to be different. A lot different, Guerrero said. The speed. We're going to be faster. The defense, homers. It's going to be a more complete team. Favorable playoff odds, a near unanimous level of optimism, a record-breaking payroll, and a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. quote to hype up the upcoming season. It certainly felt like 2022 all over again. Oh wait, but that means...
Do they pick off? Oh, they got him! Oh, what a mistake by Vlad Guerrero!
For the second straight year, actually for the third time in 4 years, the Blue Jays crashed out of the postseason without winning a single playoff game. Perhaps not a completely bleak sign for the future, but certainly a crack in the foundation. In addition to a dip in run production, while they maintained an identical on-base percentage to 2022, their overall slugging prowess continued to decline. Also, according to BSR, Fangraphs' all-encompassing base running stat, as infamously showcased in the Wildcard Series, the Blue Jays were a bottom 5 base running team. However, despite these shortcomings due to their impressive pitching staff, minus the stunning decline of Alek Manoah, this team entered the postseason confident as ever. But between only scoring 1 run in 2 games and manager John Schneider's controversial pitching changes, particularly the egregiously early pull of Jose Barrios in Game 2, this team's second consecutive premature postseason defeat left them on a quest to find immediate answers. Clearly, the insistence to shift towards a pitching and defense-focused roster in the name of run prevention and overall balance resulted in the unexpected outcome of a once elite offense now without enough firepower. Sure, Team Gold Gloves are cool and all, but fans want championships, and time is of the essence. Ideally, players like Guerrero, Kirk, and Springer bounce back from underwhelming seasons, but would that be enough? Maybe, but in such a pivotal offseason concerning the future of this contention window, everything is in the air.
Very warm welcome to everybody that may or may not be on board to Toronto.
It's 4:23 p.m. Eastern. The plane has finally touched down in Toronto. In addition to the thousands eagerly tracking this flight online, scattered crowds gathered outside the tarmac barriers to catch the first glimpse of this mystery man. Canadian customs agents approached the plane, head inside, and were bestowed the honor to ask the question thousands, if not millions, were desperate to know the answer to. Where is he? Who? Ohtani. Ohtani? Superstar and prized free agent Shohei Ohtani was not on this plane. He was at home back in Southern California, but why was he assumed to be here in the first place? Well, it's important to establish a key factor of Ohtani's free agent process: his desire for privacy. It was made clear that if any definite proof of a team meeting with Ohtani reached the media, this would be held against the team in question. So any inkling of information concerning his whereabouts was going to spread like wildfire. On the night of December 7th, 2023, a Twitter user found a private jet set to leave Orange County for Toronto the following morning at 9 a.m. PST, which was shared on Reddit that same night. The following morning at 5:39 a.m., MLB Network's John Morosi tweeted that Ohtani's decision was imminent, with a possible announcement later that day. 6:31 a.m. Insider Jim Bodan ignited further speculation by reporting the rumored flight. 11 minutes later, a Canadian opera singer said Yusei Kikuchi reserved an entire sushi restaurant for a large dinner later that night. It's unclear whether his source was morning radio host and former hockey player Karl Koliakovo, who read the same information on air from the radio show's text line, making it clear it was not coming from a credible source. Regardless, once the plane departed at 9:40 a.m. following a delay, a subset of online baseball fans, specifically 4,000 people on FlightAware, were tuned in to this story. It's going to be so funny if this is just some dude. 10:53 a.m. JP Hornstra, a Dodgers beat writer who's a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America, reported that Ohtani was set to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. Not a rumor, a confirmation. The Blue Jays had seemingly done the impossible, with Ohtani set to land in Toronto in just a few hours. 10 minutes later, multiple reporters refuted this report. Back to square one. Until, once again, John Morosi tweeted, this time with certainty. Shohei Ohtani was en route to Toronto. 20 minutes out from the airport, nearly 19,000 people simultaneously following the flight on just one flight tracker. The baseball world was desperate for an answer. Less than an hour after landing, USA Today's Bob Nightingale confirmed Ohtani was not in Toronto, which CBC photographer Evan Mitsui confirmed on site. So, who was on the plane? Canadian businessman Robert Herjavec. How and where did this go so wrong? Well, as the baseball world fixated on this story, crucial omissions were made. In fact, a user in the initial Reddit thread had the real story more than an hour before the plane ever took off. This is so wildly stupid. The jet belongs to Robert Herjavec. It's a regular trip from his home here in Newport Beach to his home in Toronto. Herjavec, stamped right on the back of the plane. However, the biggest clue has been in front of us the entire time. Tail numbers are a unique combination of 2 to 6 characters assigned to an aircraft, basically a license plate. The first character indicates the aircraft's country of origin. For the United States, it's the letter N. The remaining characters, specifically for private jet owners, often link to the owner themselves. For example, the tail number of Michael Jordan's jet is N236MJ, a sequence that blends his jersey number, championships, and initials. Herjavec's tail number is N616RH. RH, Robert Herjavec. The dream was over. Morosi and Hornstra both apologized for their inaccurate reports, and Ohtani signed with the Dodgers the following day. Oh, by the way, that rumor of Yusei Kikuchi renting out a restaurant to host a big sushi dinner, that was also false. So at the end of this whole fiasco, only 2 things were true. Ohtani was not on the plane, and he was not a Toronto Blue Jay. And fans were furious.
Wow, it is a noticeably different reaction than Ohtani got last year. As you can hear, a sizable portion of the crowd here tonight not too happy.
High fly ball, deep right field. Shohei in Toronto. Boo that.
An immediate response to a hostile crowd's boos of frustration. But for Blue Jays fans, these compounding annual feelings of disappointment had reached a breaking point. The Blue Jays agreed to offer the same deal to Ohtani as the Dodgers. He still chose LA. In the Juan Soto trade talks, they were basically used as leverage. Matt Chapman rejected a 6-year, $125 million extension prior to the offseason, only to sign for less money in San Francisco. Still, these 3 players were incredible in 2024, while the Blue Jays couldn't even muster a .500 record. But hey, at least the defense was great.
And caught! Dalton Varsho caught it!
Back in January, days after being named as a finalist for Japanese phenom Roki Sasaki's services, and only hours following an ill-advised trade where the Blue Jays added $2 million in international bonus pool space, Sasaki announced his intention to sign with the Dodgers, an offseason where the Blue Jays had missed out on superstar Juan Soto and starter Corbin Burns, despite offering more money than the Diamondbacks. Blue Jays fans deserve better than this. So many exhausting near misses, and the resulting team just isn't good enough. Now, the team still made plenty of moves. They traded for Gold Glove second baseman Andres Jimenez, signed Anthony Santander, Max Scherzer, Jeff Hoffman, and a week into the 2025 season, they re-signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to a 14-year, $500 million deal. However, despite yet another franchise record payroll, optimism within this fan base has reached a new low, and I don't blame them. While Ohtani puts together sushi dinners with his championship-winning teammates, a sushi dinner that actually took place, Blue Jays fans are left to ponder whether the peak of this once ironclad window of contention is behind us. A possibly tragic end to an era once gleaming with potential, and not a single playoff victory to show for it. On one hand, it's unfair to definitively characterize a team's talent using what's ultimately a 6-game sample size. But in a sports world where championships speak the loudest, the Blue Jays have been awfully quiet. With that being said, focusing on the numerous players who did decide to commit to Toronto, from a raw talent perspective, I truly believe there's a playoff team buried somewhere in this foundation. Whether the team possesses the right leadership or variables necessary to awaken this potential from its dormant state is another question in itself. Overall, the path forward for the Blue Jays is incredibly murky. But with Guerrero now confirmed as a franchise mainstay, at least fans are guaranteed a superstar caliber player to root for the next decade plus. Whether the Blue Jays win a championship in this span is impossible to predict. But for the sake of the fan base, I hope it turns around sooner rather than later.